Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2024 New Rocksville Vice Mayoral Debate. I'm your host, Elmo Monster Jr., and I am the moderator for this debate. Before we start the debate, I will go over the rules of the debate for you. This debate is being filmed at the Grizzly Halloween flagship location at 2 Grizzly Terrace, New Rocksville, New Jersey. And this debate will officially air on September 6th, 2024 at 6 o'clock p.m., which you can find right now on the Infinity Studios YouTube channel. The rules of the debate are the following. The debate will be recorded and posted to the Infinity Studios' YouTube channel after the debate is finished. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer questions and 30 seconds after the question is answered for a rebuttal. Now that the rules are out of the way, let's welcome first the Democratic candidate for Vice Mayor of New Rocksville for the 2024 election, Chief Executive Officer of IXL Learning, Mr. Paul Sennibeard. Next, please welcome the Republican candidate for Vice Mayor of New Rocksville, Chief Executive Officer of Infinity Studios, Bob and Lamblamm's Arcade, and Grizzly Halloween, Salvatore L. Thank you, both of you gentlemen, for being here today.
No problem, Elmo. It is a pleasure to be here.
Of course you would say it's a pleasure to be here. In my own store, which you can visit anytime, which I have no problem with you visiting, but why does the vice mayoral debate have to be in my store? We have an entire city hall for this in New Rocksville. There's no reason that we can't have the debate here. Why does it have to be my store? It's cutting into my hours. You did this during the first mayoral debate too, which I don't think, like Paul, I actually watched the debate. And the way you behaved during that debate, Elmo, was so inappropriate. I don't know why you couldn't silence your phone. Even Shank Jenkins silenced his phone, but you couldn't silence your phone because you don't care about this debate and you want Shank Jenkins to win a 26th term, which he should not even have. Sal, please. Okay, there will be multiple series of questions, and because of your positions and titles before assuming candidacy of Vice Mayor of New Rocksville, there will be more questions for you than any of your running mates. We start with Homeland Security. There are 2 questions. Mr. Sennibeard, how do you plan to protect New Rocksville from Leisure Pole's nuclear weapons? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Elmo, seriously? Leisure Pole's not gonna unleash their nuclear weapons on us? That's quite ridiculous. Bixley Cats doesn't have the balls to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Mr. CEO Salvatore L, same question, 2 minutes. Begin. Thank you, Mr. Monster. I don't think that Pole really understands how much of a threat Leisure Pole's nuclear weapons are. Bixley Cats can at any time fire a nuclear weapon, and we may not even get previous communications to it. And if we don't, that's even worse. And he said he was going to declare war on us, but that never happened. He never declared war on us, but he will declare war on us if Paul Sennibeard and his buddy Shank Jenkins win the next election, which we cannot have. We cannot let them win the election. And by the way, if he wins the election, he and Shank Jenkins will unleash Antifa. They've declared it publicly multiple times. Paul Sennibeard put it on his Indeed. Cindy Boosters found that one out, so credit to her. But they're going to unleash Antifa on us, and it's going to be bad because not only will it affect the mayoral election for this year, but it could also affect New Jersey's electoral college, which could in turn affect the presidential candidate. And if Donald Trump doesn't win the next election, we are in for some trouble. I could foresee World War III, and if they don't start World War III, a Harris-Walz administration definitely will. Are there any rebuttals to that? It looks like Mr. Sennibeard has a rebuttal. Mr. Sennibeard, you have 30 seconds. Begin.
Leisure Paul is not gonna declare war on us. We're not gonna get into a war with Leisure Paul. I have no idea what you're talking about. And by the way, you're talking about Antifa as it's a bad thing. Well, it keeps Republicans like you under control. The last time we had a Republican president was George W. Bush, and he did a very terrible job, by the way. But we're not gonna get into war. Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard.
Sal, would you like to rebuttal that? I would. You have 30 seconds. Begin.
Leisure Paul is going to declare war on us only if you win. And another thing, we will have World War III if you win. You'll take IXL Learning to Switzerland, which is not good at all. We can't have Viola Amherd cry and the Swiss Confederation. We can't have them crying about IXL Learning. It's quite ridiculous. Your program is so bad, Paul. It's a very bad program.
Thank you, Sal. Our next question is also on Homeland Security. Mr. Sennibeard, are you considering ending our treaty with Leisure Paul? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I don't think I actually have a formed opinion on that, but I mean, I will consider it. I don't know. It really is whatever Shank Jenkins wants to do. I don't really care about Leisure Paul. That's not what I foresee in my future, but I will leave that up to Shank Jenkins, whatever he wants to do. He said he didn't even know we had trade relations, or Leisure Paul had nuclear weapons, but he might, I don't know, he said he wants to use Leisure Paul as like an ally, and then we could start assigning them IXLs, which I think is really great. So it's whatever Shank wants to do on this one. I'm cool with whatever he does.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, unlike you and Shank, Paul, Cindy and I actually did watch the debate between both the FAR bosses. And I agree with Cindy 100%. We don't have trade relations with another town in a state. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And this is what I've been trying to tell you. Paul is full of fake news. Shank Jenkins is full of fake news. CNN loves Shank Jenkins and Paul Sennibeard, but they hate us. And I wonder why. I really, really wonder why. I really think they're anti-Republican. And if you want to know something else, it really is ridiculous, the things that Paul Sennibeard and Shank Jenkins have done. They went to Leisure Paul and they sued Aunt Alice and Uncle Jerry for spreading misinformation. I mean, well, that's fine, except for one thing. They didn't spread any misinformation. Everything in their campaign, their entire campaign, Paul Sennibeard and Shank Jenkinson's entire campaign is vote for us so we can assign more IXLs and keep murdering your children. And if he and his boss get elected, you will continue to receive IXLs. Do you understand that your life is on the line as a new Rocksville citizen? You don't understand that. You really don't understand that, Elmo, which is why this is still being debated. But it's not a debate. It really is not a debate. This is not a debate that we're having. This is it's a climactic moment. Whoever the people vote will change the future of the entire planet. Just think about that for a second. You can't let this guy win. He's full of fake news. He's saying that we have trade relations with Leisure Paul, but we're not even in a state. We're a town.
All right. Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to that? All right. Our next topic is nuclear weapons. Mr. Sennibeard, what will you do if Leisure Paul uses nuclear weapons against us? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, we would obviously go to war with Leisure Paul, but as I said, Bigsley Katz is a coward, and I even have my own personal cowardice thoughts on Mayor Thomas James Warner. There's absolutely no way they're going to go to war with us. We have more nukes than we do, and we have more soldiers we do. They're going to lose. They're going to lose.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question, 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, I do agree with Paul on one thing. If Leisure Pole were to use nuclear weapons against us without our consent, we would go to war. If they were like to do a surprise attack on us, like they had done Pearl Harbor. But the only way that would happen is if Paul Sennibeard and Shank Jenkins win the election. If they don't win the election, they're not going to go to war with us. And so far, the polls are looking really well for us. Me and Cindy are ahead by a single point, and I think we're going to win. Also, we have gained lots and lots of support on Grove Street, which I think is doing really well. And Grove Street is kind of like a swing state for us, but it really is not. It's like a Talmud street, but it's doing really well. We're doing really well so far.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? All right. Our next question. Mr. Sennibeard, are you planning to start any wars? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, I'm not planning on starting a war per se, but if we are in one, I mean, I'm rich and I've got money, so you won't see me complaining.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question, 2 minutes. Begin.
Are we planning to start any wars? Absolutely not. I think well, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. If he wins, and if Shank Jenkins wins, we do have plans to purposely lose the war so that if we can prevent something where we win the war and we're under a totalitarian state, but we're not planning to start any wars. We don't want war. And Bigsley Cats doesn't want war. You can ask Bigsley Cats. You can ask Aunt Alice. You can ask Uncle Jerry, if it doesn't fall under their gag order. But, you can ask them. And they'll tell you, we don't want war. You can ask any New Rocksvillian here. We don't want war. We don't even have the power to start war. Do you realize how ridiculous this is? We don't want war. We don't want war. We never asked for war. We want just 2 towns living in peace. None of this IXL massacre stuff. We don't want the IXL massacre. Paul, if we win, we are going to get you IXL. We are going to get a gun. Paul, let me just get this straight. I win, IXL loses. We are driving that company into the ground. We're driving it into the ground. It's gone. Goodbye.
Are there any rebuttals to that?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, Mr. Sennibeard, you have 30 seconds. Begin.
All right, pal, you think you're so smart? You stupid 15-year-old. You're a sophomore in high school. You have no idea what you're doing. But I'll tell you what, if you think you're so smart, why don't we bet our companies on this election? And if I win, your companies go bankrupt. And if you win, my companies go bankrupt. We are totally going to win. The vote's high now, but it'll be on our side later. There's no way you're going to win.
I really don't think you'll do it, Paul. I really don't think you'll live up with it, but you know what? I'm feeling a little bit adventurous. Why not? I will put my companies on this election. If you win, Grizzly Halloween, Infinity Studios, and Bob and Lamblamm's Arcade are gone forever. But if you lose, then I get your company, I get IXL Learning, and I will bankrupt that thing faster than Rosie O'Donnell can eat a donut.
Gentlemen, please remain civilized. Thank you. Our next topic is environmental issues. Mr. Sennibeard, are you going to do anything to the dam in New Rocksville? If so, what? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
We're going to clear out that dam. We are going to end the water supply. We're going to put it underground. Then we're going to put concrete on that dam. And once we put concrete on the dam, then what's going to happen is we are going to move the IXL headquarters to that dam. And it's going to be a huge building. The building is going to be so huge. It's going to be taller than the Infinity Grizzly Holdings. And it's going to be big. It will be big.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
We don't want to do anything to that dam. We are already paying so much in property taxes. We're already paying so much in taxes, rent, water, heat. AC, electric. We're paying so much. It's so horrible how much we're paying, but we're not going to do anything to the dam. We don't need people paying for IXL Learning's new headquarters. We don't need the American people paying for his stupid company, which, by the way, doesn't even work. And what's going to happen to that irrigation system? You can't put it underground. The reason it's up like that is because you can't put something like that underground. We were thinking of doing medieval crimes in that ditch, but we couldn't because that's how big it is, and it fills up with so much water, and we can't predict when that happens. I was back in a position when I did medieval crimes in March where I could not predict, or I could not get that access to that information when it was going to fill up, so I couldn't reschedule. So I just did it at the Infinity Grizzly Holdings during the time where this section of the Infinity Grizzly Holdings here was Bob and Lamblamb's arcade. But you cannot do anything to that ditch. There will be multiple sewage leakings, and you cannot have that. You cannot have that, Paul. You cannot have that.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to that? Okay, our next question. Mr. Sennibeard, do you plan to plant more trees and other items or forms of agriculture in New Rocksville? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I do not.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I don't have any specific plans for any agriculture, planting more trees. It could be something that the Moostress administration looks into in the future, but I'm definitely open to the idea if Cindy wants to start planting more trees. She, wants to plant more agriculture. I'm very open to the idea, and I bend over backwards to help get that into our Congress.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, our next section is commerce. This first question is for you, Sal. We're going to go in reverse order this time. Have you ever completed an IXL and or been to an IXL convention? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I've never been to an IXL convention. I will never go to an IXL convention. IXL Learning stands against everything that I stand for. It's a very terrible program. It doesn't work, and I find it really hilarious when his executives say that it's the future of education. It really is not. It really is not. Don't believe any of the lies that his company tells you. It really is not the future of education. But I've been doing IXLs for years. I've been forced to do IXLs. I've been assigned IXLs for many years. My first assignment of IXL starts in 6th grade. I got my first IXL in 6th grade. It was absolutely horrible. I hated IXL Learning compared to other education programs. I think it was simply the worst one I ever completed. And the funny thing is, you expect a program like IXL to be only for one specific teacher, but I did it again in 7th grade, and then in 8th grade, and then I said, okay, now there's no way it's going to leak it. It leaked into high school. It leaked to the high school because it's K through 12 learning, and teachers are crazy to assign that stuff. There's some teachers that are crazy enough to assign IXL Learning, and I think it's simply horrible. It really is horrible.
Thank you, Sal. Now this question is for Mr. Sennibeard. Have you ever been to Bob and Lamblamb's arcade and or Grizzly Halloween and or have watched an Infinity Studios production? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I've never been to Bob and Lamblam's arcade. I've heard of it. I've heard of Grizzly Halloween. I've heard of all this stupid kid's businesses. And let me tell you right now, I do not think he should be running businesses. He's way too young. You're 15. You're a sophomore in high school, and you claim to have businesses since you were 10 years old. But that's fake news. You want to talk about fake news? You're not even a real CEO. That's a whole bunch of lies. It's all lies. I have had a real company. I founded IXL Learning when I was 25, and I am still the chief executive officer 25 years later. And now, so here we are. So he doesn't have real companies, so he's going to lie to you about that. And all of his products are fake. You can't trust him. He's a shady businessman, and you can't trust him.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Are there any rebuttals to this? I have one. Okay, Sal, you have 30 seconds. Begin.
He wants to call my companies fake. I think they're not fake at all. They might not be fully incorporated, but they are still 100% real. And by the way, I have put much more work, much more effort, and much more time into my companies than he ever will and ever has. And you want to call me a cheap businessman, but I'm not killing people for not doing IXLs. I'm not putting them in prisons. I'm not filling up our prisons with people. I'm not killing people because they don't buy my animatronics. I'm not killing...
Okay, thank you, Sal. Okay, our next question is, again, the next two questions are in reverse order. Sal, what do you plan to do with IXL Learning if your running mate wins? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
What I plan to do with IXL Learning is, as you know, we just bet our companies on the election. So this means that January 20th, 2025, I am filing IXL Learning for bankruptcy because we're going to win. And the Moostress administration is not just going to be the best administration in the entire state, but in the entire country as well. We are going to end IXL Learning. It is the worst education program in the history of this country. I really can't name an education program that's worse. And we're gonna totally abolish it. It's gonna be gone. And I will make it illegal to enforce, assign, or complete an IXL. And if someone is caught assigning a child IXLs, they will be faced with severe criminal charges. But if they can manage to hack into the internet and bring the program back, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because we're going to delete IXL. We are going to completely abolish the program. We are going to find his AI and we are going to delete all the AI. We're going to reset all the AI, all the automation of the questions that he uses for IXL. We're going to totally get rid of it. And we're going to file IXL Learning for bankruptcy, and we're going to take the money from his organization, and we are going to put it back in proper places. It's not going to go to his personal funding. It's not going to... The money that he's harboring from the government using to pay taxes and pay off his personal pocket, we're not going to do that. The Moostress administration is not going to do that. We're going to take the money, the billions and billions of dollars that he's spending on this program, and we're going to give it back to the American people.
Okay, thank you, Sal. Mr. Sennibeard, what do you plan to do with Salvatore L's businesses if your running mate wins? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, the same thing that he plans to do with my company. We're going to totally bankrupt it. And additionally, for all of his items, his arcade games and all of his animatronics, all of his products, anything that me or Shank don't want, we're going to put it in, we're going to go to the dam and we are going to do a giant fire. We're going to throw all the things into one fire. We're going to burn it all. We're going to burn it all. We're going to take the Infinity Grizzly Holdings and place our AI bots in it so we can have more room for our AI, less money that we have to spend on the construction of our robots and everything that we use for the questions on the IXL, more smart score grading machines, and we are going to completely revamp this room. It's not going to be a Halloween store anymore. I'm going to kick Salvatore L and the Veltimores out of the Infinity Grizzly Holdings, and that's that.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, let's move on to labor. Paul Sennibeard, how do you plan to create more jobs? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
We're going to need people to check on the new robots. We're going to need people to check on the the IXL headquarters. We're going to need more custodians, more technicians, more IT people. So we're gonna be creating a lot of jobs. You could claim that you're protecting the people, but one thing you can't claim you're doing at all is you're not creating more jobs. There's no way that you can count the military as creating more jobs. IXL Learning, you could say whatever you want about IXL Learning, but it is definitely the spot for jobs. We have created over 25,000 jobs. We are the top job market, one of the top job markets in this entire country. Lots of people are working for IXL Learning, and I think we're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, we don't necessarily have a harbor for jobs. Sometime in the future, Grizzly Halloween is considering shipping. So I will be creating one or two more jobs. But other than that, we really don't have plans. I'm actually considering passing down Bob and Lamblamb's arcade to one of my friends, so they can do whatever they want with the company. They can get people to do more jobs. I can't really say what they'll do. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna do it, but it's a consideration. And I really don't think I have to worry about losing my companies to this fraud. And Paul Sennibeard is a total fraud. If you believe any of the stuff that this guy says, you're wrong. You're wrong, and you know you're wrong. Because this guy is a total liar. Total liar. He will lie to his employees the same way he lies to you. Lies, lies, lies. You're lying Paul Sennibeard, and that's all you are. Lying Paul Sennibeard. Full of lies, full of fake news. You're claiming Aunt Alice and Uncle Jerry spread misinformation. They didn't spread any misinformation. They're highlighting the truth about your campaign. You're very dirty, Paul. You're very making evil money, very dirty money, very unclean money. You want to place it on me? It's really a reflection of what you're doing. I'm not cheating anyone out of a business deal. I never do that, because if I did do that, I wouldn't have the huge customer base that I do have. Paul Sennibeard.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, our next section is trade. Mr. Sennibeard, how will you, if you decide to, maintain trade relations with Leisure Pole? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, I think Sal's right on one thing, is that we really don't have trade relations with Leisure Pole. However, I do support Shank Jenkinson's embargo on water. I think that was a very wise decision. But, it was, other than that, I really got no other comments on that.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I said it once, and I'll say it again. And Cindy said it once, and I'm sure that during the next mayoral debate, she'll say it again. We have no trade relations with Leisure Pole. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Paul Sennibeard wants to go and say, oh yeah, we've got, I don't really care about the trade relations. What trade relations? We have no trade relations. That's not a thing. That'd be like if you went to, I don't know, Sandy Hook and say, well, they've got trade relations with Belmar. They don't have trade relations because that doesn't exist for towns. That exists between countries, hell, even states. But we're not states, Paul. We're towns in New Jersey. I don't know what more you want from that.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay. Our next topic is arguably the longest one here because it has 5 questions. This is the justice topic. Mr. Sennibeard, what is your response to the death of Marley Donna Fitzgerald Volosson? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Who even is that? Who is that? I have absolutely no idea who that is.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I'm very surprised someone like Paul actually made it out of high school, because if you are to become mayor of a town or even vice mayor, you should at the very least have the knowledge of current events. And even though it happened 2 years ago, or 2 to 4 years ago, the death of Marley Donna Fitzgerald Volosson is still kind of a current event, and everybody's talking about it now. Everybody's talking about it. This next week, Leisure Pole plans to hold a memorial service, not just for 9/11, but also for its fallen soldiers and for Marley Donna Fitzgerald Volosson. And keep in mind that we are keeping in close touch with Leisure Pole, and so you should have an idea who Marley Donna Fitzgerald is, especially since it was your running mate who funded the entire war. You could say whatever you want about Cindy Moostris, but She didn't even know we were funding the war because Shank Jenkins was going hard. He was making sure nobody spread that. Nobody was allowed to talk about the Leisure Paul Fraser-Niche war. Nobody was allowed to talk about that. I think that's kind of messed up. But it's not like it hit the news or anything because it didn't. It didn't even hit the news. President Biden refused to talk about it. Kamala Harris also refused to talk about it. Even former President Donald Trump refused to talk. Everybody refused to talk about it. Democrats and Republicans alike. And I think it's really sad. It really is sad.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, our next question. Mr. Sennibeard, what will you do to, if you decide to, avenge for his death? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I'm not going to do anything to avenge his death. I don't care. I don't even know this guy.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
Well, we are going to build a statue in Leisure Pole in honor of his death. And, me and Cindy also plan to join Leisure Pole next week for their memorial service, not just for 9/11, but also for Marley Donna Fitzgerald Velocity. We plan to attend both ceremonies and both memorials, so that's how I will be avenging for his death.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, our next question. Mr. Sennibeard, what will be the state of IXL Learning on January 20th, 2025? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
IXL Learning is going to, become the biggest education platform in the world. We are going to move outside of the U.S. and Canada. We're still going to assign IXLs in the U.S. and Canada, but now we're going to move on to other places like Switzerland, and eventually we want to get to a point where IXL Learning will be assigned to children and students across the globe.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
We're going to completely get rid of IXL. Bankrupt it, demolish it, destroy the AI robots. We're going to completely obliterate it. And, if we get lucky enough, we'll be able to use some of the parts of Paul Sennibeard's AI and his mechanics and his computers. We'll be able to reuse some of those for our Grizzly Halloween animatronics. If we can find a part good enough, and if any of your mechanics are good enough. But I doubt his mechanics are any smarter than he is, and even he's not really a bright person. Because clearly you need to be a very stupid person to found IXL Learning, and you need to be a very unintelligent person to assign IXLs and force IXLs to be done in this town and across the country. You really need to be a stupid person to be associated with IXL Learning. You really need to be stupid.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this?
I have one.
Okay, Mr. Sennibeard, you have 30 seconds. Begin.
I'd like to know just what exactly you've done in the 15 years of your life that is so special it's somehow better than what I've done.
Well, at least I wasn't killing people, Paul. At least I'm not a wanted fugitive in 2 countries. At least I don't have any criminal charges on my record. And at least I'm not committing tax fraud. Say what you want about me, but Grizzly Halloween isn't committing tax fraud. We're not charged taxes in the first place.
Gentlemen, please. Thank you. All right. Now, our next question. Mr. Sennibeard, what is your response to Aunt Alice and Uncle Jerry's convictions? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Aunt Alice and Uncle Jerry are full of lies. They are big liars. Uncle Jerry is a cheapskate person. I've noticed about that. He likes to cut me off. And quite frankly, Sal and Uncle Jerry here, they've got a lot in common. Mr. L has a lot in common with Gerald Stalin. They both like to interrupt people. They both love to spread misinformation. And they both claim that they're here for the American people. But let's be honest. Sal's worth millions of dollars. Uncle Jerry's worth millions of dollars. Sal is a business owner. Uncle Jerry is a business owner. They're cheap. They're gonna, when they get into office, they're gonna do one or two of those things. But they'll abolish my program if they get into office. But they won't make things better because Sal and Uncle Jerry are really in the game for their own personal pocket.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I don't think anybody's noticed this yet, but it's called an American pin. And last I checked, Paul doesn't have one. And that could be a very, very great indicator. I'm not saying it is, even though I know it is, but it could be one of the many great indicators that Paul Sennibeard and Shank Jenkins do not care about this country. They say that, me and Uncle Jerry don't care about this country. Well, Uncle Jerry is worth billions and billions of dollars. I am worth a lot of money as well. But we don't care about money. We're not. If I really was in this for the money, let's be honest. If I really wanted money, I wouldn't be running for vice mayor. Okay, if I really wanted money, I could just go to a convention and sell my animatronics. Everybody would know me. Everybody would see the animatronics. Buy. I'd have a lot of money. I have a lot of money, and I wouldn't need to run for vice mayor. I understand that my wealth is going to increase if I become the vice mayor of New Rocksville, and so it will his if he gets the role. But that's not what I'm here for. I am not running for vice mayor because I'm not doing it for the money. That's a big misconception with the left. They think that I'm in this for the money. I am doing this because right now we are in a major slew of political problems caused by this guy and his stupid IXL Learning program. And Aunt Alice and Uncle Jerry know it just as well. They know it just as well as I do. But, it's really sad.
Okay, now for the last question of the justice section. Mr. Sennibeard, Shank Jenkins is found guilty of the crimes of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and tax fraud. What is your response to the convictions of your boss?
I think people need to shut up. They have no business worrying about my boss's claims and convictions. That's none of their business.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, your boss is charged.
Let me know when you find that crime that Cindy allegedly committed.
Oh, no. She did commit a crime.
I'm still waiting for that crime that Cindy committed. Come on, what's the crime? Show me the crime. Show me the crime. You can't think of one, can you? Because Cindy's not the convicted felon. You heard that whole slew of crimes that, Paul Sennibeard and Shank Jenkins committed. They committed first-degree murder, second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, criminal coercion, tax fraud, and they're big on the tax fraud. You should see how ridiculous they are with the tax fraud. They're telling the government that they did pay their taxes, that the citizens did pay their taxes. They didn't pay their taxes. Nobody's paying their taxes. And when you buy into the hoax that you get to live in this town completely for free, no bills, that's the trick. That's the trap that Shank Jenkins and he too now want you to buy. So you move into this town, you do IXLs, you put money in their pockets, and nothing happens. And then they use the money that they get from the organization and from the parents who are stupid enough to pay for the subscriptions, because a lot of parents are paying for this. And mind you, IXL Learning is being used nationwide. So imagine the billions and billions of dollars that they're getting, and they don't have tax fraud on any other town, any other state, just New Rocksville. It's only New Rocksville that's the tax fraud, and he's not even fully responsible. He's just part of the crime. Shank Jenkins is the one committing the tax fraud. Cindy Moosters has never committed tax fraud. She never killed anybody. She's not responsible for criminal coercion or any other crime that you could think of. Listen, Elmo, by the time you think of this crime, okay, I will have already been vice mayor for my entire first term. I will have already been vice mayor for 2 years by the time you think of a good crime. Because Cindy didn't create a crime, and you are biased, and it's very unfortunate because what's happening now is we are supposed to have an unbiased moderator, but the reason that you left during Cindy's speech and the reason that you don't want to let me finish talking while I'm speaking and the reason that you can't come up with a good crime for Cindy is because he's full of fake news. Shank Jenkins is full of fake news. And quite frankly, you are biased. You are a left-wing Democrat. And honestly, I like to make the argument that I think you are more Democrat than Paul Sennibeard. And, that's coming from a guy who sees the founder of IXL Learning as a true blue Democrat. No pun intended. No pun intended.
Yeah, never mind. Let's move on to Social Security. Mr. Sennibeard, will you return Social Security to New Rocksville? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I'm not returning Social Security to New Rocksville. I'm not going to do that. That's going to be a waste of our money and a waste of our time.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
We are going to take the money from his company, the billions and billions of dollars that the American people have been spending on his company, and we are going to put it back towards Social Security for New Rocksville. And it's quite frankly, Chris Christie, Phil Murphy, Donald Trump, Biden, Harris, all the politicians have been saying that, we can't afford Social Security anymore. Social Security, we don't have the money for it anymore because we got so many retirements. And he's the reason. Nobody wants to talk about it. The Secretary of Education for the United States doesn't even want to talk about it because he supports this guy. That guy is a total Democrat. I think the Secretary of Education is a useless piece of garbage. And he's never made any public appearances. Pete Buttigieg is still trying to run for president. He'll never get the role. Pete Buttigieg will never become president of the United States. And it's the same thing with this guy. He wants to climb up the political ladder, the corporate ladder, until he becomes, governor of New Jersey. And then he wants to run for Speaker of House, and then it's Vice President, whatever your whole ordeal is. You'll never get it, Paul. You'll never get it because the American people hate you so much. You'll never win. You'll never win the popular vote. You'll never win the Electoral College. You will never win any of it. There is no chance in hell. No chance in hell. And you've been spending so much money on your company that we can bring back Social Security if we stop funding IXL Learning.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, we now move on to transportation. Mr. Sennibeard, what methods of transportation do you wish to add to New Rocksville, if any? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
You think I care about transportation? You're nuts!
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I think we should add a couple buses. I'm with Cindy on that one. I think we should add a couple of buses to New Rocksville, but otherwise, I don't think any more transportation is necessary. And in fact, this guy wants to defund the auto companies, which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for defunding the auto companies, but that has to be done on a national level. We don't have that kind of power. To defund the car companies. That's got to be a constitutional thing. That's got to be left up to the states. But we don't have that power. We're a town in a state. So this guy wants to defund the cars, but he doesn't even want to do it the way that we should do it, which I don't support. So I do and I don't support him on this. But basically, the car prices are ridiculous, and it's not really the car company's fault. Ford and none of them. The problem is the inflation that we have under the Biden administration. If we have a Jenkins administration, a Jenkins-Sennibeard administration, we're going to have an inflation problem. If we have a Harris administration, we are going to have a problem. The Democrats are notoriously reputed for raising the inflation. And honestly, you can't be too keen on creating more jobs, because if you create too many new jobs, that's more money that the bosses have to pay their employees, the CEOs, the companies. You can't do that because if you have more employees, you're going to have to increase the price of your products, which in turn increases the inflation. Am I against creating new jobs? Absolutely not. I think we do have a job problem, but we can't create too many jobs because there's going to be too many positions, which is not only ridiculous, but is also bad for the economy.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay. Our next section is healthcare. Mr. Sennibeard, what will you do to decrease the cost of healthcare? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I'm not really concerned with healthcare, and even if I was concerned with healthcare, I'm not worried about it right now because, for another reason, that is that we don't have that kind of authority to be managing the inflation. And Sal's actually quite right about the inflation, but not with the jobs, with the fact that we do have inflation under the Biden administration and but we also have it under the Murthy administration. This really is a rich state, but it's not my problem because I'm rich, so I really don't care.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I think Paul was right about healthcare up to the point where he got to the Murphy administration. Then he was just spewing out a bunch of random garbage. It was actually right up to the point where he was talking about how we have inflation under the Murphy administration. Everything that he said after that was basically just a load of garbage. Total garbage.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, our next topic is housing. Mr. Sennibeard, how do you plan to make housing more affordable? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
I really don't care about housing.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
Hold landlords accountable. Sometimes things do happen. Things happen, money gets finagled, and the tenants and residents are bad, but sometimes we have bad landlords who are only in the game for the money, and sometimes we just have to hold them accountable. We need to hold landlords accountable. If there is not accountability in financial situations like there isn't it's the same thing with IXL Learning. No accountability. Look at how bad IXL Learning's become. Look at the national atrocity that it's become. It can be the same, and it is in fact the same way with the housing market, which is one of the main contributors to the inflation, which President Biden and Harris think is crazy. And what's more is Vice President Harris says that, things are too expensive. Like, you go into the stores and it's too much. It's too much money. Bidenomics is working. We must have forgotten about that in 2020 or 2021. I don't remember, but it was Bidenomics. Yeah, and you must have forgotten about Bidenomics, Paul, because if you are a Democrat, you will get behind Bidenomics, which doesn't work. It doesn't work. The inflation is ridiculous, and that's why you can't afford a house. It's across the country. It really is sad.
Thank you, Sal. Are there any rebuttals to this? Okay, our next topic is education. Mr. Sennibeard, if IXL will not be a part of a child's education, how do you plan to supplement the educational needs of children? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
You stupid idiot. IXL Learning has always been part of a child's education since 1999, even with the QIA workbooks, and it will always be part of a child's education, and you can't replace that, and you know it. You're a 15-year-old who has no idea what he's doing, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
There's plenty of other great education platforms that are not IXL Learning. We can start with No Red Ink. It's very wonderful. No Red Ink is a very wonderful program. I can't explain it all in detail. I haven't done one in quite a long time, but I remember doing them, and they are, everybody loves No Red Ink. Well, not everybody loves No Red Ink, but it's certainly, students do definitely prefer it over IXL Learning. So there's an option. But if you really want the best thing for your child, get them a tutor. What Paul doesn't understand is that education is very, very different from anything else. Children are children, and they do not have the mental capacity to understand, well, X is this, X is equal to Y, and I can't even, today was an important day. It was one of my first days back to school. I am now officially a sophomore. And how it was is I literally went to school and then came back here for the vice mayoral debate. And I did a geometry problem today, and it's not as easy as it looks. I'm great with money, not so much geometry or algebraic equations. I'm not really great with that. But, he doesn't understand that this is a child's mind. They have the ability to be great with money, children my age should have some say in making difficult decisions, but we're still not there. We're still not at that difficult level, and it's the same thing with the left's indoctrination of genders. Like Lamblamb's 5-year-old, Bob and Lamblamb's 5-year-old cousin is a turtle. If he and kids at his age, they play pretend. I have a 5-year-old cousin who plays pretend.
Okay. Thank you, Sal. Thank you. Are there any rebuttals to this? I have one. Okay, Mr. Sennibeard, you have 30 seconds. Begin.
Well, I don't care what your opinion is. Children are children, yes, and they are incredibly stupid. But, in the process, children do actually learn something. And, some children do actually prosper from using IXL Learning.
Yes, however, the percentage of children that do actually excel in school using IXL Learning, well, that percentage is just about shorter than Peter Dinklage. And Peter Dinklage is, quite frankly, very short. So I don't know what kind of percentage of children you're talking about, but it's not a very tall, not a very high percentage, Mr. Sennibeard. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Excuse me, Sal, thank you. You weren't supposed to interrupt Mr. Sennibeard. You had your own shot. You would have had your own chance to rebuttal. Okay, anyway, next question. Mr. Sennibeard, will you ban homework? You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Will I ban homework? You're kidding, right? You're pulling my leg. There's no way you can actually be serious. Me ban homework. The CEO and founder of IXL Learning. That's great. This is actually kind of fun. You're full of good jokes, Elmo.
I wasn't joking, but thank you anyways, Mr. Sennibeard. Sal, same question. 2 minutes. Begin.
I am absolutely going to ban homework. I mean, one of the entire missions of our campaign is to ban homework, and we are going to pass a bill in Congress once we get the office position that we are going to ban homework across the entire country. We're going to have a petition signed. I'm going to go to my school during my vice mayoral term, and I am going to get my classmates to sign a petition to ban homework across the entire country. Ban it. I'm going to get some other people I know to sign a petition, and I'm sure they'll sign. And then we're going to go to Congress. We're going to go to, and we're going to pass a bill. And if it gets turned into a law, then we're going to ban homework. And I think it truly would be better. And by the way, you look at Finland's education status, and they have the best education system in the world, and the reason for that being is because they barely ever assign homework. You notice that it's quite ridiculous how we do things here in the U.S. We claim to be free, but under the administrations that we have right now, we are not free. And I've noticed everything, like we're under, our mayor is a Democrat, our governor is a Democrat, and our president is a Democrat. Everyone is a Democrat, and look where we are right now. It's very terrible.
I have had enough of you!
Dude, who are you getting?
Oh my God!
what's your emergency?
Yes, hi. I am at the Infinity Grizzly Holdings with the Chief Executive Officer of Infinity Studios, Bob and Lamblamb's Arcade and Grizzly Halloween. He was just assassinated. He had a gun pointed to his head, and he was shot.
Okay, and what's the address?
It's 2 Grizzly Terrace, New Rocksville, New Jersey.
All right, don't worry. Help us on the way.
Okay, everybody, you saw what I just saw. Chief Executive Officer of Infinity Studios, Bob and Lamblam's Arcade and Grizzly Halloween, Salvatore L has just been shot by Chief Executive Officer of IXL Learning, Paul Sennibeard. The paramedics are on the way, and the Infinity Grizzly Holdings is expected to be closed for the rest of the day. The police will not let the businesses open. This is now an active crime scene, and the paramedics are on the way to pick Salvatore L up. I'm sure you can hear them right now. This officially concludes the end of the vice mayoral debate. I just called 911, and the paramedics are on the way. The police are on their way. You can hear them in the background. But the rest of the questions that were not answered by Republican and Democrat candidates, Paul Sennibeard and Salvatore L, they will be posted to the Infinity Studios YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you want to look for the questions that weren't answered, thank you so much for your watching and your patronage. And I'm so sorry that you had to see this. And I wish you all safe travels, and please stay safe. Thank you so much.